Florida's new college has been criticized for letting go of a professor for challenging Ron DeSantis. And it may be a violation of the First Amendment. So let me give you some context here. Earlier this month, the college had declined to renew a visiting history professor named Erik Wallenberg's contract. So he had very publicly criticized Ron DeSantis, as well as his overhaul of the new College Board of Trustees. Back in January, DeSantis appointed 6 members to the board that were new, including Christopher Rufo. You should all know who Christopher Rufo is. He's one of the anti-CRT crusaders, and now, again, is part of the new College Board of Trustees. Now, why is this, again, considered to be a possible First Amendment case? Well, again, this professor had criticized Ron DeSantis outside of his profession, by the way, and Ruffo, who sits on the board, had made some very public comments about it, supporting the elimination of his job. So now, first, Ruffo had openly declared when he had taken over, under the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis, our all-star board will demonstrate that public universities, which have been corrupted by woke nihilism, yes, woke, that's right, can be recaptured, restructured, and reformed. So immediately they had fired the president and put DeSantis' former education commissioner in her place. And after that, there were some disagreements, right? Again, Wallenberg had come out in some articles, written some op-eds about how he disapproved of this, and even invited a prominent Black history professor, Marvin Dunn, to lecture his students. Dunn was also an outspoken DeSantis detractor. So they didn't like that. They didn't like that he taught a class involving the history of racism, and so they declined to renew his, contract. It's essentially fired. So when that happened, Ruffo took to social media and gloated about it, saying that the school would, quote unquote, no longer be a jobs program for middling left-wing intellectuals. Smart people, we don't want smart people teaching our children. No. He added that it's a privilege, not a right, to be employed by a taxpayer-funded university. So now look, this seems like a retaliatory firing, also a firing based on his political leanings, especially being outspoken about his political leanings and about his disapproval of the changes that DeSantis has made. So now, look, he was first the college's only U.S. history professor. He had some pretty good student evaluations. He had support from inside the social sciences department. Wasn't any complaints about his work. This wasn't anything work-related. The thing that he did wrong, according to them, was, again, openly criticize Ron DeSantis and Christopher Rufo. That's it. So let me give you some details on the op-ed. This was in March of 2023. He and another professor wrote in Teen Vogue an article titled, New College of Florida, the Conservative Christian Takeover by Ron DeSantis and Chris Rufo. After that article was published, Ruffo posted screenshots of the two teachers' resumes and wrote, quote, pure left-wing Mad Libs. Luckily, both are visiting professors. So basically saying, oh, look at these guys. Oh, it's a good thing they're visiting professors, which means that we can, maybe down the line not renew their contract. Saying it without actually saying it. Now, then when the New Times broke the news last month that Wallenberg's contract was indeed not renewed, Ruffo confirmed on his social media account that Wallenberg would not return to campus. And he said the college is, quote, reviving the great classical liberal arts tradition and setting a new standard for public education. I wish Professor Wallenberg well, and I hope his work on radical theater and environmental movements finds a more suitable home. So, look, that comment is him rubbing his face in it. To me, that seems pretty obvious what's going on here. Okay? It's one of those...
Oh my God! He admitted.
Admitting it without actually coming out and say, yes, we got rid of him because of his political views. Now, look, Christopher Rufo is allowed to have his own political views, and so is Wallenberg, especially since he was doing this off campus. Okay? And again, criticizing something, that's an American tradition. Yes, criticizing politicians and not getting any sort of, pushback from the government. He did mention that it's a taxpayer-funded university. So if you're fired as a retaliation for your free speech, for expressing your political opinions, and your contract does not get renewed by the people that you are criticizing, I mean, that seems to be a pretty clear First Amendment case. Now, is that going to be easy to prove in a court of law? No, it's not. But I think when you look into it, when you really drill down into this and look at all the statements that Ruffo has made, look at all the statements that Mr. Wallenberg has made against DeSantis and Ruffo, and you can see, you can make that connection that this was definitely political and definitely retaliatory.